And now he just like breaks into places and like is live streaming and has an army of just like the same exact broccoli head dude.
I can picture that guy.
Hello, and welcome to Xtremely Online, the podcast that gets in the ball pit for 10 more minutes so you don't have to. I'm your host, Chompy, and please welcome my guests, Claire and Mashka. All right, do you want to introduce yourself and say a little bit about what you do?
Like in real life?
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Claire. In real life, I'm a personal trainer and I own a gym. And I don't always sound like I just smoked 87 cigarettes, but I was at a party screaming and now I sound like this. So enjoy that.
I like it. It's sultry.
Yeah. It's try to like make it a little bit of like a.
And how online would you say that you are?
Oh, so online. Too online.
What's your space? Like what's your community?
Oh my gosh. I have a habit of falling down weird YouTube rabbit holes and just like that whole thing and like strange Tumblr blogs where you can just click from one to the other and it's just like you keep clicking and you keep getting deeper and you just wind up like reading about
some random person's drama that like you've never heard of.
I'm like, I don't know who this person is, but I'm so invested. This happened 15 years ago and I need to know every detail.
Is Tumblr still on the internet?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so Tumblr is having a comeback moment right now. I don't know. I don't think Yahoo owns it anymore. Or do they?
I don't know.
I should have looked that up. But Yahoo owned it and crashed it, ran it into the ground, banned porn. They were like,
I remember when I banned porn and it was like, what the fuck are you doing?
You clearly don't know what this website is.
You don't know your audience for that one.
This was an awakening for so many queer teens and just
and all the fanfic
young
authors
people.
Were
like it was I don't want to speak for all of it, but it was a relatively safe space to like explore. And then they were like, you can't have boobies.
Yeah, so apparently
here.
Yahoo just ran it into the ground and now it's owned by a company called Automatic.
Okay, so they have completely brought it back. Like I'm seeing it more in the like zeitgeist and not just like old Tumblr posts. Yeah. And they also did a thing recently when Elon was like $8 for a check mark. They're like, okay, you can pay us $8 and you can have as many check marks as you want. And now you can have like up to like 18 check marks or something. And so some people just have, all of the check marks lined up. So they're just like, it's just so you can feel nice. And
yeah, we just wanted more check marks.
Help us run this cursed website. But yeah, it is definitely back.
Automatic apparently runs WordPress.com.
Oh, they run WordPress. Okay.
Okay.
They're basically the same. WordPress was like the adult version of Tumblr. Yes. WordPress is like grown up Tumblr. Yeah.
WordPress is like, I have a job and I'm doing this for my job.
I'm traveling Europe.
Yeah.
And
here's my WordPress blog. Here are my pictures from scuba diving in Fiji.
What was your first online experience?
Okay. So, oh man, how far back do you want to go?
The beginning.
When I was in like middle school, we got a computer. My parents got it for Christmas. It was a compact Presario with the good old Windows 95. And I remember it had 1 gigabyte of hard drive space. 1 gigabyte. Yeah. And I used to go on Gaia Online. Yeah, I was big into Gaia Online. This was back in the day where like you had to have dial-up internet. So it was like my mom would be like, you have an hour and then I need to call my sister. So you're getting off the computer. But I was really into Gaia Online. And then I started getting into art and I loved drawing and I was like teaching myself how to draw. So I would go on a site that no longer exists called Elfwood. That was a fantasy art website. It was only fantasy art. And if they decided your art wasn't fantasy enough, like you couldn't upload it. Only fantasy art on Elfwood. But I would I had like just a stash of floppy disks and I would take all these floppy disks and I would download pictures that I liked, other artists' pictures, and I would copy them, not trace them, but I would copy them. I never like claimed it was my own art or anything. It was just like, this was how I learned how to draw, So I would just like save hundreds and hundreds of just pictures of like elf girls in the woods and just like, and that was how I learned how to draw. That and pausing my Sailor Moon VHS tapes and drawing what was on the screen.
Yes.
That's how I learned how to draw. So that was my like first internet experience doing that.
Love it.
And then I got really into LiveJournal when I was in high school.
Hell yeah.
Oh,
Do you
yes.
remember
Mhm.
your first username?
It still exists. My old LiveJournal is still up. But my first one was Jade Dragon 480. And then I switched it to a different username that is still up there. And I'm not going to say what it is because I don't want anyone to find it.
What is Gaia?
Gaia Online was like a little, you had these little avatars, these really cute little avatars. And it was just like a message board, kind of like Neopets, sort of.
Okay.
But yeah, you were on the message board and you could like get different little outfits for your little
But they
avatars.
were like, yeah, like digital, like chibi little paper doll
Really
type
cute.
things.
Oh, nice.
Yes, they
Okay.
had different, there was like, everyone had the same outline of a guy and all of the outfits fit everybody. But then, yeah, you like earned points by doing things on the site and then you bought little different outfits and hairstyles and yeah, made your
was
cute
cute.
little character.
love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I forget what the currency was on Gaia, but you had your like little coins and you spent them on.
Yep. No, that was,
Little
yeah.
outfits,
Me
little
and
dress
Sierra played that
I was
too
obsessed with
our
any kind of
Neopets.
like little dress up game, like anything where you could dress up an avatar and like put cute little shit on them. That was my jam.
Yeah.
Still
Yeah.
my jam.
Polly
I still-
Pocket.
I
Yeah.
still love
The
that shit.
Barbie games.
Yeah. Give me any video game where I can like dress up my character and let's
I know. How long did we
Final
spend
Fantasy
on our
14 or 15, whatever the one is that's current. It's like my main goal for playing that game is to just get the cute
the
outfits.
cutest guy?
Do you
Yeah.
ever make a character that looks like you?
Oh, all the time.
Every time.
Yeah, every time.
Thank
It's gotta
you.
look like
Thank
me.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're playing Diablo
4.
4 right now.
Mhm.
And yeah, both of our guys are basically us. And I'm a
Yeah.
necromancer and she's a barbarian.
Yeah.
So I'm like raising little skelly guys to run with us. But
That's
yeah,
perfect.
we have
And
our,
I've
It's
got
just
big
like real
swords.
life.
as close to hair colors as we can have
Yeah.
in the game. But
There's no pink hair option in Diablo 4.
Diablo 4 developers, can you get on that, please?
I know that several people who worked on that game follow me on Twitter, so
figure
Pink
it
hair.
out. Figure
Yeah,
the
it
next
out.
figure
one
it
will
out.
be pink hair.
We're here today. We're gathered here
Dearly
in the ball
beloved.
pit. Dearly beloved, we're gathered here in the ball pit
The
to
ball pit.
discuss Dashcon. Have you ever heard of Dashcon? Do you know what this is?
I have heard of it, yes.
Oh yeah. Oh, I've.
I think a lot of people have heard of Dashcon. It is the failed Tumblr convention, Tumblr that has been raised.
Raised from the dead.
It was called TumbleCon at some point, and then they had to distance themselves from actual Tumblr to be like, this is not official. We are Dashcon. We are unrelated. We are just fans, but this is the largest gathering of Tumblr users to date. And this was held July 11th, 2014 in Illinois. And
In Illinois.
it was organized by Megan Eli and Roxanne Schwederman. And scheduled guests were supposed to be Doug Jones, Nate Stevenson, and the Welcome to Night Vale podcast.
Nate Stevenson was supposed to be there?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Nate Stevenson was there.
Oh, okay. See, this I did not know.
He
I
was
have
there.
no idea who any of
Oh.
those people are.
Okay.
You don't know who Doug Jones is? Oh my god.
Doug
Okay.
Jones is the character actor who does.
He's everyone.
He's every monster. He's the Shape of Water.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He's in What We Do in the Shadows as the Baron.
He's in like every Guillermo del Toro movie, like ever.
Yeah, if you ever see a kind of lanky monster guy, it's probably Doug Jones.
And he's a really, really nice guy. And he is like at every single convention. Like you go to a convention, Doug Jones is probably there. So,
Awesome.
yeah.
And then Nate Stevenson is a comic artist and animation artist. He made She-Ra and the Princesses of Power. He also has a new
Nimona.
new Netflix. Yeah,
which
Nimona is
really
a movie.
good.
Yeah, which what started out as a Tumblr comic.
Ooh.
So
alright.
yeah, Nate was like one of the like
I knew
OG,
he was like big in the Tumblr webcomic space, and like that's where he got started.
That's how he started, came up, did a comic Lumberjanes, and then that just brought him up to making actual TV shows, which was awesome. But yeah, so he was at Dashcon.
Wow. What a tale that he now has to tell.
And then Welcome to Night Vale is a podcast.
The City Council announces the opening of a new dog park at the corner of Earl and Somerset near the Ralphs. They would like to remind everyone that dogs are not allowed in the dog park. People are not allowed in the dog park. It is possible you will see hooded figures in the dog park. Do not approach them.
But they're podcasting as if they're in this like paranormal dimension and being like, another eye has opened up in the sky today. Like, try not to. Do not be alarmed.
Yeah, like a paranormal news podcast sort of thing. It's cool.
But also large presence on Tumblr. That's how it became popular. So at the event, about 350 people showed up. So incredibly small.
So,
And then the guest speakers, including Nate Stevenson, were told they would have to pay for their own rooms at the hotel. So the con that invited them was not going to give them a room. And then the hotel demanded $20,000 up front or your event is getting shut down.
so they hadn't paid anything.
They hadn't paid.
When they were just like, we're going to do a convention.
We're
Just
going
show
to do
up
it
at this
and,
hotel.
and we're going to get ticket sales and then we'll pay for it.
Mm.
That's
And
not how it
so
works. That's not
what
how you
they
do that.
did was shut all the doors and say, we're going to get donations from everyone in this room and no one leaves until we can pay for this shit.
Holding all of your attendees hostage to pay for your convention.
But also, sorry. And you guys can have 10 more minutes in the ball pit.
So the conceit of this, I guess, that it's now a meme.
No refunds, but 10 more minutes in the ball pit.
Was that there was a ball pit. They advertised having a ball pit as like a fun thing, right? But it was just literally an inflatable pool. Slightly bigger than this. Slightly
with
bigger.
like
But full
a
of like,
hand. We have a very sad amount of balls in here. It was about.
there's a picture of it on the internet. That's
Yeah,
the
no, we
saddest
will
thing
have the picture.
you
It
can
is-
ever
What a
possibly
beautiful image of the internet. So basically, you might think with the power of the internet. I'm just looking at the picture.
Yeah, that's real. That's not Photoshop.
Oh, but it looks like they also have a like a bouncy house as well.
Did they have a bouncy castle as well? Maybe. Yeah. Oh, that's not it.
That's not it. Okay.
That's not it. It's like a sad.
It's just a children's.
It's a
birthday.
sad ball pit in like a hotel ballroom all by itself.
Yeah, like a lone about this size.
Inflatable pool.
Maybe 2x the amount of balls, but
Is that it?
That's it.
yeah,
That is it.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's the ball pit.
Oh my goodness.
That's
no
the
diving.
infamous Dashcon ball pit.
So yeah, they offered no refunds, but 10 more minutes in the ball pit.
Yeah.
The ball pit was not. Everyone there was like, "We're not here for the ball pit."
No one cared about the ball pit.
Shockingly enough, we're not here.
How much were the original tickets?
Are we all just Googling Dashcon?
$45.
And so let's see if
That is expensive. For a one-day convention, that's pricey.
That's yeah.
Yeah.
You would expect there to be a lot of stuff.
Right.
Because, like, yeah, there's a horror convention coming up that was like, yeah, $45, $50 a day.
Yeah.
But they have a walk-through haunted maze.
Yeah,
and,
they have a lot of stuff.
The best theming I've ever, like...
Yeah, it's in, like, an actual
like,
convention
scary
center.
attraction
It's
level.
not a single hotel ballroom.
It's not, an empty ballroom.
$45 a person, 350 people, that's $15,000 or so.
Mm-hmm.
So like
So they had to raise still
$5,000.
Yeah.
among 350 people.
Well, let's see what that turns out to.
Yeah.
What is the value of that 10 extra minutes in the ball pit?
$14.28.
Okay.
I wouldn't pay $14.
But, like, yeah, under the circumstances of you're being locked in a ballroom.
Right. Like, we
That's
can't leave
illegal.
until you...
Yeah, I would I would fully go into Firefly. Like, I'm not paying. Like, I need to just get out of this building. Like, I can't
Oh, yeah.
be here. So yeah, the Welcome to Night Vale podcast panel was canceled, and no one was offered a refund. You could just 10 more minutes in the ball pit.
Wow.
But both Nate Stevenson and Doug Jones did show up.
I don't know that Doug Jones was there, but Nate Stevenson was definitely there, and Welcome to Night Vale was definitely there, because then they ended up having to get an Airbnb together to be like, we need to get the frick out of here.
I feel like there's so much potential for a Tumblr convention, because so much of the convention scene is like, and the Artist Alley, and like Tumblr is a huge place for artists. So like, there could be something really great there.
The audience is absolutely there. The content is absolutely there. It's just the
was-
execution. You can't be a random dude and just decide that you're going to do a convention, because even though it seems like it's all made up, there is a bit of craft to it. There's some organization.
It definitely takes actual work to put on a convention.
You have to coordinate with the hotel and make sure that they understand what's going on. And
I mean, most events, big events and conventions take the entire year to plan. Like once it's done, they just start planning the next one, and that's their full-time job.
They learned nothing from this. They started another convention called Emoticon. Identical convention. Identical.
Was this just one person?
It was two people. Identical down to like the description of it. And so then people were like, wait a minute, is this... Are you guys just doing Dashcon? And they're like, no, this is separate. This is a new... I know it sounds exactly this. It's separate. It was canceled due to personal, financial, and safety issues.
I would call being locked in a ballroom a safety issue.
All the possible issues, really.
What were the personal issues?
Clearly, there were probably a lot of them.
You're right. You're right. It's better not to ask.
It's better not to ask.
Which brings us to other random people who think I can throw a convention. How hard could it be? Tanacon. Tanamanju. Are you familiar?
This is one of the weird YouTube rabbit holes that I have fallen down, is like watching videos about this situation.
This when it happened led me to watching
hours.
Docuseries by Shane. It's like I hate Shane Dawson.
Yeah.
But I kind of had to know what he had to say about.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Mashka, do you know who this person is?
I don't know who this person is, but I did hear about the convention and how people were just in a parking lot for hours under the sun. Mm-hmm. So that's all I really know.
So, the situation was Tanamanju, random YouTuber. She does story time type content.
Yeah, she became like really famous for, I don't really know what.
Random bullshit.
She had a lot of like really super like edgy story times. Like, I got banged with a toothbrush, I think was one of them.
Her and iDubbbz had a little feud. I don't know if it's still ongoing. Not a particular fan of iDubbbz either. And his current gig is making people box each other. Just making YouTubers box each other.
Like the creator clash thing?
That's iDubbbz.
Is that his thing?
Which was like, that
like
puts a bad taste in my mouth. But the whole thing is like, I don't like... Your intentions have generally never been good. So, the idea of making a bunch of... It's like, is this... where society is? There's like... I saw a bunch of like bloody...
website. Look at this. Influencers will pay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like it's for charity. Watch these YouTubers fight each other.
I mean, I do want to watch YouTubers fight each other. Just some of them, you know?
Some of them.
To get what they deserve.
The ones who usually agree to do it are not generally the ones that you want to watch fight each other.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
I don't care about Logan Paul, any of the Pauls. And like even them fighting each other, and like I don't...
Well, isn't Logan Paul an actual like WWE wrestler now?
Is he? Jesus.
That he actually does that now,
Well, all right.
Anyway,
Tana Mongeau was not a featured creator at VidCon 2018. She was not a featured creator. And she's like, I'm going to throw my own convention right across the street from VidCon.
She was doing this whole thing like out of spite.
Oh, yeah, 100%. 100%. She was not a featured creator. She felt very snubbed by that. And so then she basically invited like all the unwanted YouTubers. Like at my convention, everyone's a featured creator.
Yeah. Oh, and then she had the upgraded ticket that was featured fucking creator.
Right. Oh, yeah. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's look up how much tickets this were.
Yeah, but the whole concept of it, I guess, was that it was just like her and her YouTuber friends who were not invited to VidCon, throwing their own
$65
spite con
for VIP passes. Oh, free for those who registered in May. VIP passes were $65.
Oh, right. So that was the other debacle, was that it was originally free. Yeah.
Like, you have no idea. Because She invited Shane Dawson. Guests included Bella Thorne, Shane Dawson, Casey Neistat, Miranda Sings, Ricky Dillon, Elijah Daniel, Jen McAllister, Gabby Hanna, Trevi Moran, Lisa Schwartz, and Jack Barron. So a bunch of people who are like Shane Dawson definitely pulls numbers. So if you say to people, you can see Shane Dawson for free, you're going to get a bunch of tweens and
that's who it was. It was like the little teenage girls, just like 14-year-old girls.
So I was at that VidCon. I was at 2018 VidCon for work.
Did you go to Tanacon?
No, I didn't, but I was in the hotel lobby having a drink one of the nights, and I saw this. I don't remember why this little girl came and talked to me, but she was there with her mom, and she was like, I'm going to Tanacon tomorrow. And I was like, sweetie, I don't know how to say this to you.
No, you're not.
I really don't think that you should go. And I was like, it just like hurt my heart to see her because she was like, my favorite creators are gonna be there, and this was the only convention that we could afford, and I'm just really excited to like get to actually meet people, and I just really like what she's saying about like everyone is featured and like everyone can be special. I was like,
oh my God,
my sweet summer child.
Okay, I've only been to one VidCon, and I wonder if it was the 2018 one because I can't remember. I'm gonna check.
Look it up. But this poor baby, she was so excited, and I saw her the next day.
Oh no! Oh no!
She looked so sad, so just like her spirit demolished that I couldn't even talk to her. I couldn't approach her because she was sunburned, like just like
I was gonna ask, was she sunburned?
Burned to hell.
Oh my God!
Crispy. And just like the most like downtrodden, like her whole energy was destroyed. I was like, I know there was no way I could, like, you're never gonna listen, but
yeah,
I knew. I just, I wish I could have. I wish I could have said.
People came from out of town. Like people flew.
Oh yeah, no, they came from the other side of the country. They came from like the Midwest or something, and like, and they're like, this is like, the hotels are so expensive. Like it's all so expensive. Like her ticket, we could afford to go to this. I was like, like I want to give you my VidCon badge so you can. If I wasn't working, I would have given it to you so you could go. Like, it was so sad. Yeah. So Tana claimed that 20,000 people attended this convention. It was about 4,000, 5,000 tops. But
I mean, hey, that's better than Dashcon.
So yes. I don't know if you're gonna get into I don't know what you have on your outline here.
No, go ahead.
But the number of people, she claimed it was way more than it was. But the number of people was, even though it seems like a small number, was still a massive problem because it was over capacity for the venue.
That's exactly what I was about to say, is the venue did not even allow 4,000 people. I believe that it was like a 1,200 maximum, something like that.
Yeah, and so the fire department was like, you all have to get out of here.
Get the fuck out.
Yeah. And it was like people who had been standing in line all day couldn't even get in because the place was over capacity. That's why they were all like getting sunburned in the parking lot. And like,
no water, no food.
Yeah.
No sunscreen.
And Tana was like, her excuse for it was, well, we didn't expect 20,000 people to show up. And like 20,000 people did not show up. Like, no.
No, but that's also why you don't offer a free event and why you ticket the event. So you're like, oh, if I sell 1,200 tickets, that's the maximum amount of people that can come in. It was like...
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Basic event planning, but no, she's...
I don't know if you've ever been to Anime Expo, but they constantly have a problem with it being... They don't cap their ticket sales. So, they just keep selling them. And if you show up and you can't literally physically fit in the room, then you just can't get in. But, like, you will be in the convention center packed in like a sardine, like, literally shoulder to shoulder with a bunch of other nerds, and you can't move because they don't cap their ticket sales. And it has been a thing in the past where the fire department has come in and been like, there are too many people in this building. Y'all got to get out.
I feel like that's happening a lot because at South by Southwest, it was kind of like, and that is a very, very expensive festival. And they would and it's also a convention, and people would line up for like these events, but literally everyone in the line is not going to get in because they already like all the pre-tickets. Those are the whole thing filled up. So there are just people standing in line for like 3 hours who, like, even at the beginning, they could have told them, like, hey, don't line up. You're not going to get into this. And it's really fucked up. Like, better planning,
Seriously.
folks.
Nobody wants to go to an event to just stand in a line the whole time.
So she was shut down on the first day. Like, didn't even get through the first day. The fire department, completely shut it down. It was like, everyone, please go away.
Yeah. And everyone was canceling too. So like Shane Dawson canceled. He didn't show up. Pretty much all of the guests that people had come for canceled.
We're like, I'm not coming to this shit show.
Because they thought they were going to a real convention.
Right.
And it turns out that it was
not real. Yeah. Okay, so speaking of people who have no business creating a convention, you have a story.
I have a story. Okay. I feel like this person needs their own entire episode because there is so much. We're talking like 20 years of internet infamy, jumping from fandom to fandom. Like, there's so much to go into with this person, but they do, as part of their repertoire of disaster, have a history of a failed convention. So I'm going to start with that. This person's name is Andrew Blake, but they have gone through 4 or 5 different identities. And so his whole MO is that when something fails, usually extremely disastrously, he just changes his identity, changes his name, has faked his own death at least 3 times. Once his actual parents believed that he was dead.
Oh my God!
His own actual parents believed that he was dead. And it's, yes.
Usually fake your own death. It's a one and done.
It's a one and done.
You
No,
fake
multiple
it,
times.
and then usually you stay dead.
Multiple times.
Look, if you're doing it right, yeah.
I'm back. Wait, no, there was a lady who just did that. That author. There was an author who faked her own death for clout, essentially, for her books, and then she just came back to life.
It was like,
and then everyone was like, "Excuse me," and she's like, "What?"
So in Andrew's case, it was always like coming back under a different persona.
Okay. So he'd like change his name. Would he change like
he would
his
change
look?
his name. He sometimes yes, sometimes no. It's a whole thing. So at the time that this took place, he was going by the name Jordan Wood. Named himself after Elijah Wood. So he had this whole huge, almost a cult. It really was kind of a cult in the Lord of the Rings fandom, where he told these people, a group of people that he was living with and like a few other friends, I think, they believed, or claimed that they did, that he could channel the consciousness of not just, so partially Lord of the Rings characters, so the actual characters, but not just characters, also the actual actors, including Elijah Wood. So he believes that he could like channel Elijah Wood's consciousness, or claimed that he could do this.
For what purpose?
And Elijah Wood would speak through him.
Entertainment purposes.
And, well, partially. But also, he also claimed that he could channel these elves, Lord of the Rings elves, and that he would, like, heal people, like, spiritually heal them from illnesses by using elf magic, I guess. Yeah.
Huh.
So at the time, he was going by Jordan Wood, and decided to... So he had an online group called Bit of Earth, where he was doing, like, gardening and, like, stuff for libraries. So another part of his MO is that he would always do these things under the guise of, like, for a charity or for a cause. But it was really just a way for him to, like, get big in a fandom. But he was like, but I'm doing it for charity. So it's,
right.
You know? So he did this thing called Bit of Earth, and they built, like, a community garden at a library, and he got Sean Astin involved. Actual Sean Astin, Samwise Gamgee from Lord of the Rings, if you're not familiar. And so he was, like, a part of this event, and this thing was actually successful. So they actually did build this garden, but they also collected money that they claimed was for charity. None of the charities involved ever saw the money, and it turns out that, like, Jordan and the people he was running this with did not have anything set up to be able to actually collect money legally for a charity.
Like a 501c3.
Yeah. So another thing that he's done repeatedly is claim to be collecting money under the guise of a charity or a cause, and it just never materializes, or he doesn't have the legal paperwork in place to go through with it. So they did this thing called Bit of Earth, got Sean Astin involved. And then he decided he wanted to throw a convention, which was once again going to be apparently to raise money for charities. And it was going to be called Tent Moot. And so in Lord of the Rings, if you're not familiar, the tree people, the Ents, they have their big meeting to decide if they're going to go to war and join the war against Sauron and Saruman and all the bad guys. And they have what's called the Ent Moot, which is where all the Ents, the tree people, get together and they have their like little meeting. So they were going to call this convention Tent Moot because it was going to be outside in tents. Instead of being like in a convention center.
I love it.
Yeah, they were going to do it outside in tents. And so they had this whole plan, and like I need to check my notes here just to make sure that I'm getting the timelines correct. So they had this whole plan. So it was planned by the Lord of the Rings fan group Bit of Earth, led by Jordan Wood, currently known as Andrew Blake. Online pseudonym is Than Fiction, like Stranger Than Fiction is his like alias that he goes by. So in April 2003, they did this garden thing. They called it Project Eleanor. It was like this garden thing for the library. And then Andy was like, I'm going to do this convention. And so he actually got some Lord of the Rings actors to come be guests for this convention that was supposed to occur. And they were just like, you know, none of the big actors, but they were background actors. Someone who played one of the orcs, like famous character actor, and a few other people who were flying in from New Zealand for this convention.
Wow.
They get to the airport, and the tickets that they were promised from Air New Zealand were not there. There were no plane tickets for them. And at this point, you would think like, okay, well, clearly turn around and go home.
Yeah.
But no, Andy was like, no, they're going to come through. We just need to get them here, and we'll figure out the ticket situation. So a friend of his who goes by Tormiel, I don't know her real name, she goes by Tormiel. A friend of his paid for the plane tickets herself out of her pocket to fly these 3 actors from New Zealand to Los Angeles. And Andy, I guess, had just convinced her it was like a mix-up with a ticket company, but like they were going to come through, whatever. Flew them to Los Angeles. They get to Los Angeles. There's no hotel for them to stay in, which Tormiel picked them up from the airport. She believed that Andy had booked hotels for them. There were no hotels booked. So she's in her car driving around Los Angeles with these 3 actors in, like, not knowing where she's going to take them because there's no hotel. Has to pay for a hotel herself out of her pocket once again to, like, put them up. And there was no convention. Like, there was nothing. There wasn't even anywhere for them to go. There was absolutely nothing. They were just 3 actors from New Zealand in Los Angeles for no reason because there was nothing. And in order to avoid culpability for all of this, Andy claims that he attempted to kill himself. And Tormiel was stuck with around $30,000 from having to pay for the hotels, the plane tickets, and, like, all of this stuff.
Oh, my gosh.
I feel like last-minute plane tickets are very expensive.
Oh.
So from what I understand, so going back to the charity thing with the library, they got indicted by the Oregon Department of Justice for illegally collecting money, and they are no longer permitted to do anything for any charity reasons in the state of Oregon. So they got, like, canceled for that. That's why they moved to California and decided to do their convention in Los Angeles. And I believe that she actually ended up trying to sue Andy for this money, but she wrote a book about this whole situation called When a Fan Hits the Shit. That's what the book is called.
That's great.
And yeah, so she was on the hook for, like, just an insane amount of money.
That sucks.
Out of her own pocket. And naturally, like, I wouldn't recommend anyone reading the book because she's clearly very angry about the situation and maybe not an objective reporter on the story. Also, like, Andy is transgender, and it's the only reason that's relevant is because back at the beginning of his, like, whole fandom situation, he was going by different names and using female pronouns. And the author of this book, Tormiel, just, like, refuses to gender him correctly throughout the entire book. So it's, like, wouldn't recommend reading it, but literally got to the point that, like, this woman wrote a whole book about the situation. Damn. And, like, yeah. So, anyway.
I have a question.
Andy Blake is still in Los Angeles, as far as I know. Oh. Might still be. I have met him personally. He's been in my house.
Oh, no.
He's been in my house.
What is he like?
Nice. Seemed like a nice guy. Very smart. Like, really smart, which is part of why he was able to pull off all of this stuff.
That's how you're able to get so far doing
like
insane
really smart
shit.
But the latest fandom he was trying to get into was Critical Role, and he was like trying to do another one of these, planning an event, and he wanted to throw a dinner for the cast of Critical Role and like serve all of these like foods, like fantasy foods and stuff. But before that was able to happen, all of this came to light about his past, because the people that he had been staying with, like, and befriending
like
in
your
LA.
group, it's some of your group of friends,
Yeah,
right,
yeah,
who
he
are
was, like-
also still in LA, and
Right.
so like who also know Critical Role people and other. So it's like
he was staying with my friend Molly in her house and like ingratiating himself with my group of friends, like, you know, 1 degree of separation from the cast of Critical Role, which makes you feel like, was he doing this with a goal in mind, right? But then we all found out about his past, and there are dozens of blogs on Tumblr. They call themselves the Andy Awareness blogs. Because they like literally want to prevent him from getting into more groups and more fandoms and doing this over and over again. Like, literally there are blogs to try to warn people about
love
this
that
guy.
though. Honestly, like
Yes.
that's the power of the internet. Is like we will not.
We're not going to let you get
How many
away with
times
this
do you have to
shit
teach this lesson, old man? Like,
Yeah. So many times. Yeah. And I mean, it goes back, his history goes back like over 20 years of doing
dang.
the same thing in different groups. But yeah, if you just search Andrew Blake, you will find.
I have a question. So, why?
Why to what?
Like the Lord of the Rings convention.
Mm-hmm.
If the point is just like to defraud people and like make money and make people pay to buy tickets for a convention that doesn't exist, why fly the actors to Los Angeles?
So I don't think that the point was actually to scam anyone. I think the point for Andy always is to get himself to be some kind of like person in these fandom spaces. Like he wants clout. Yeah. He wants to be like the guy in these groups. And so if he could throw a convention and like actually have actors come and like, it was just a way for him to
some
get
people
close.
love.
So why not actually put on the convention?
Because he had no idea what the fuck he was doing, I think is how it turned out. Like he had an idea. He was like, okay, I'm going to do this thing. Didn't know how to follow through with any of it. So just didn't know how to tell anyone that he didn't know how to follow through with any of it. And just let it keep spiraling until it got to the point that
it blew up.
it blew up in his face.
Wow.
And yeah, I guess thinking that like, oh, well, I did this one successful charity thing with this library, so I must know how to do this other thing now or something. Yeah.
Because like to me, it's like, okay, so you plan this convention, but like, oh my God, you don't actually have like a space for it to take place in. But the actors are like at the airport, like, maybe just let them like, you know what? Forget it, guys. Go home. Like why? And then, but to bring them to Los Angeles and then nothing.
Right. Like it all should have ended when they got to the airport and they were on their plane tickets. Like that should have been it. But like Andy is the kind of person that just to avoid embarrassment, I guess. And he's also extremely, extremely like convincing and manipulative. And like he told Termio, like, it's okay, they'll take care of the tickets, just get them here. Just get them here. And then they get here and there's no hotel. And it's like, it's okay, we'll take care of the hotel, just one thing after the other, you know?
Let's get him on the podcast. He'll explain himself.
You know what? So after the whole thing with like my friend group, and once again, this could be its own episode, and we should have Molly here and like have her talk about it and like how she met him and all this stuff. But I blocked him everywhere after he had like been in my house, and I was like, nope, when I found out all of this about him. He then sent me a message afterwards that was like, I would just really love the chance to like meet with you and explain myself. And I ignored this message, obviously. But he did message me and was like, I just want to like tell you.
Let me explain.
And I was like, bro, I don't know what you think you're going to explain.
So I
my God, I'm
faked
so
my death 3
curious.
times, but
Yeah. But last I heard, I think he did move away, but he might be back in LA now. He was working before I worked there at my old job. He worked for Lauren at the castle. And then someone, I think it was Manzi, went to Lauren and was like, this guy, trouble, and she fired him.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, so there's a little addendum in this article. For the same commenter above who has read Turnbull's book, she managed to stop the charges for the airline tickets, but the airline reported her to credit reporting agencies. So she like somehow got the charges reversed from her card, but then she got reported to credit agencies and now has these like lingering. It took several years of legal wrangling before all that was cleared up, and much of Turimmel's lingering animosity had to do with collections issues hanging over her head constantly.
Can't blame her for
And there was
that.
apparently a fourth actor who had checked in for his flight, but the gate agents in New Zealand heard about these canceled ticket charges and were like, "No, you can't get on the plane." So he dodged.
Oh, thank
he
God.
dodged a bullet there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah.
Honestly, just like it's a brutal flight from New Zealand to LA. That's like what, 14 hours or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there are in the similar disasters section of the Wikipedia page, there are a few other cons, but Dashcon is also listed in here as a similar disaster.
Yeah, hold on, let me look up there's a Furry con. Okay, there's the Las Pegasus BronyCon and then Northwest Furry Con. Both of those similar situations where they locked the doors and demanded like everyone in here is going to donate money until we can pay for this. And the Furry Con got furries banned completely from this hotel chain. They will no longer host furries.
No furries.
Because it was such a disaster and people were fucking disgusting. They were like just like leaving shit and like diapers. Yeah. Like
Oh,
actually,
this was
they
the
were
like
leaving
diaper
like actually,
fur
yeah.
thing.
It's
I've heard about this.
So this hotel chain was like, you know what? We're just not gonna do furries anymore. You guys aren't allowed. You're monsters.
Literal monsters.
Frequency.
So you
never. Oh my God.
Well, do you think the internet was a mistake?
No. But I think that with great power comes great responsibility. And clearly the majority of people do not have the responsibility to properly internet, I think.
No, a lot of people. I'm thinking of how old is Tana? Let's see.
Oh, she's like,
You know who you are, so get off the internet.
why are you here?
Okay, she's currently 24, which
Yeah,
means
she's
Wow.
really young. So in 2018, she would have been 19.
She was only 19.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, a 19-year-old can't run a convention. I'm
No,
sorry.
no.
Like,
You're not even baked all the way.
you're not
back in the
baked.
oven.
Your brain's not baked all the way.
Not fully cooked.
You gotta go back in the oven.
Yeah. You need more time.
Couple more minutes till you're toasty.
Yeah.
Don't be doing a convention. You're gonna crisp up the whole
she
Midwest
did.
is gonna come out and
She
get
crisped
crisped
up a bunch of teenage girls in a parking lot.
It's like, okay, like this is a little baby who came up on the internet and was like, I can do it. And then all of these kids are listening and watching her and being like, she can do it and I'm going to come and then I can do it. And it's just like, I feel like there's this weird, like, blind leading the blind situation of like teenagers. And I'm like, something is wrong. And the
internet gives anybody a platform, right? Like anybody. Doesn't matter who you are. And you can get famous for the stupidest reasons. And for some reason, there are people who want that, like their goal. Like
it's like, I believe in my heart, like a kid should be a kid and a kid should do anything.
But
and like, but sometimes people need an adult. Some
influencer.
kids need an adult or some sort of supervision or just like someone who's like,
That's a bad idea.
Yeah.
I understand what's going on here. I see what you're trying to do. I know what you want to do. Here's why you should sit down and just take a beat.
Right. Yes.
People like Shane Dawson know better. It's like he's been around the block, and then he should know
He's
better.
An elder YouTuber.
Yeah,
he was like one of the first.
But like he's learned absolutely nothing from his mistakes, so I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
Yeah,
some of the adults need adults also.
Okay, that VidCon was also the VidCon. I was there for work, and Sam Pepper was there in the Hilton lobby. Do you know who Sam Pepper is?
I don't.
Alleged child rapist. YouTuber Sam Pepper also did a prank of like best friend gets fucking shot in the head.
My God.
And there's two boys and best friends, and then one of them gets shot, and then the other one like believes it's real. And then after he was like really you can see in the video he's like really traumatized. And then after they were like, it's just a prank. He's just a prank, bro. But also allegedly was grooming children using his platform. And now he just like breaks into places and like is live streaming and has an army of just like the same exact broccoli head dude.
I can picture that guy. Like, I've never seen him in his life, but I know exactly what they look like.
So I was in the Hilton lobby at VidCon. I'm like, I'm pretty sure that fucker's banned from this event. And I looked it up and he was. And I'm like, hey, what the fuck are you doing here? And he's like, it's just holding court with a bunch of like 14-year-old girls. And so
Oh my God.
he was not leaving. And so I said to the girls, I'm like, hey, by the way, this guy's a rapist. And one of the girls said back to me, by the way, we don't care. I was like,
oh
okay.
my God.
I'm going to go get security because,
I mean,
I'm going to protect you anyway. I know that you're doing a thing. I'm not going to let this, not on my watch, sweetie. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I'm pretty sure after that, I think the internet was a mistake.
It's like something's wrong. Something's
so wrong. What do you even say to that?
What? I had nothing. I was like, I'm going to get security.
Did you get security?
I did. Well, and then they didn't know what I was talking about. I'm like, so this rapist is banned from your event. So like I feel like you should like in the bar where they have like all the pictures and like the IDs of like you don't let him in here. They should have a big picture of him. Like this is broccoli head. Don't let if it looks like broccoli.
Don't let him. No broccoli bros.
No broccoli in the building.
They have the same haircut for a reason,
Okay,
like, so you can identify him.
Your first piece of Xtremely online merch, and it's just the like no symbol with a picture of broccoli.
Yes.
It's just a broccoli, and it's just no broccoli.
No broccoli boys in here.
No.
They're doing
They're
pranks.
banned.
Okay, so security did not get him out of the event. For some reason, they like couldn't find him. So I looked at this live stream later.
They couldn't find him.
They just like couldn't get him to leave for some reason. I'm like, I feel like you have the authority here. You're at the hotel.
Make him leave.
He ended up getting bullied. He just like... he was like running around the hotel being like, bleh. And then a bunch of dudes like didn't like beat on him, but they threw a cup of water on him and were like called him names and just like bullying him. And then he finally did leave. And I'm like, okay, you got what you deserved here. But
wow, so sometimes bullying is like for good.
Sometimes.
Yeah, it works.
In the case of broccoli heads,
I support bullying broccoli-headed rapists.
Yes, same.
Yeah.
I will go on record saying that, yeah.
I think that's
bullying
fair.
has a purpose sometimes.
If it's like that's the kind of person where nothing is gonna work.
Right.
It's like he needs his broccoli-headed peers to throw water on him. Be like, no, you're not one of us.
Shame him, yeah.
You're giving broccoli a bad
Your broccoli privileges are revoked. I think that brings us to the end of the episode. Any final thoughts before we wrap it up?
No thoughts, head empty.
Mashka?
Don't throw a convention.
Don't. If you're thinking about doing it, don't.
You don't need to.
There's plenty.
There's so
Just
many.
invite
There
your
are
friends
too
over.
many.
Just invite your friends over.
You can get a kiddie pool like this for like $20 on Amazon, and you can have your own.
This is free.
Yeah.
Practically, yes. If someone tells you someone is a rapist, maybe consider it. Maybe take that into consideration.
Like, okay, we have both ends of the spectrum. It's like this little girl who's like, I'm going to Tanacon. I'm gonna have so much fun. I'm like, baby, you can't go. And then this guy is a rapist. I don't care. Okay, how do I talk to you? Okay, like, I don't want to be the like, all right, like that's not. Look at me.
Yeah.
But
you were trying to do good. And the kids, they're just not all right.
They're not all
They're
right.
not all right.
And I don't know how to reach these kids. So that's why we're making
that's why I make this podcast.
Making a little
for
YouTube
the
video
kids.
about it. I hope they
I
watch it.
hope that at least one child will not go to a convention.
I can't help you remember 9/11, but I can
Tell
help
you not to go to a convention.
Yes,
Don't
any
go.
of them.
Just don't
Well,
go.
thank you guys so much for being here.
Thank you for
Claire.
having me. This was
Thank you,
fun.
Mashka.
You're welcome.
Listeners, viewers, what are your Xtremely online stories? You can call us 404-939-4393 or email us at extremelyonlinepod@gmail.com, Xtremely with an X. And we also have a Twitter at Xtremelyonline with a 0, Instagram at Xtremelyonline with an X. Tell us your stories. Have you been to a failed convention? Were you at any of these conventions? And I hope you're enjoying the show. You guys want to just spend 10 more minutes in here?
My feet are already asleep.
Okay.
So.
These are only plugged into my pocket.